It's the Sumo Show, the podcast that discusses everything that's going on in Japanese Grand Sumo. Whether you've been steeped in sumo lore since the Heisei era, like me, Stan, or you're a dedicated fan who wants to get deeper to what's happening on and off the dojo, or you're relatively new to the world of sumo and just want to learn what it's all about, like our friend Troy, no matter how much you know about the sport, the Sumo Show has something for you. So let's throw some purifying salt into the ring, do a few big Shiko foot stomps, and see what's new on this week's episode of the Sumo Show. So konnichiwa, everyone. And Okaidi, welcome back to my co-host, Troy.
Bonsoir.
Bonsoir. Very Japanese. Yes, bonsoir. Comment allez-vous?
It's been a minute, hasn't it?
It's been a few weeks. It's been three. It feels longer than it actually has been. It's only been about 3 weeks.
Yeah, well, it still feels like a long time not to be hanging out and talking sumo. You'll be happy to know we are live on Facebook.
Oh, wow. On first try and everything.
On first try.
Crazy, man. This is crazy.
It's darn right crazy. But yeah.
Yeah, here we go. We're getting ready for the final Basho of the 2024 sumo year.
Wowzy, woo-woo, as they say.
as Schleprock says, yes, that's what.
Yeah. Little insight into what Stan and I discuss when we're not broadcasting.
As we do the whole show like that. So all of the rickshaws down in Kyushu getting ready for the Basho.
I know people love that. That voice is really
drives the engagement. That voice.
It did. It really did wonders for Pebbles and Bam Bam.
Yeah.
But yeah. So, what did I miss?
Well, I mean, not a lot. It was between the Basho era, and and unlike a lot of times, nothing huge happened after our last meeting. The big things happened that week, right? We got Onosato got promoted to Ozeki, and now he's officially an Ozeki. And it was official that Takakeisho retired, and then all the other stuff kind of while it was rumored what might happen, you got to wait till the banzuke comes out for it to be official. So that all happened this week. No major injuries, no major illnesses. I mean, people who are injured continue to be. No major sudden recoveries either. It's been October was a month of just kind of cruising through. They were on the fall exhibition tour was going on. Whole bunch of people were injured or had doctors' medical excuses not to go to that, which it's not. I guess it was kind of news at the beginning of October, but then the tour just went on and everything was fine.
Okay.
So yeah, sumo, getting ready to sumo. We'll see. I don't know. I don't know what we're poised for here in this final tournament. I mean, question, of course, of whether or not Onosato can put in a third tournament in a row of that caliber.
Yeah.
Is he ready to? Is he ready to make a Yokozuna run already? Now that he's an Ozeki, he can start making a Yokozuna run, and there don't seem to be a lot of people standing in his way. He holds the key to that. Really, the competition is not gonna miraculously get a lot tougher.
Right.
So I mean, we're going to be going over the banzuke in a minute to see where everyone's at, and we'll talk about a bunch of that. But that really is the question for me. Looking at where he's at, is he ready to perform like that every tournament? Because if he is, I think that we're going to have a new Yokozuna in the first part of next year.
That's exciting.
It is. I, of course, would like to see some of the other guys step back up a little bit. But again, we'll talk about that in a minute. Have you, I know you tend to follow the Reddit threads on Sumo, which I don't. Has anything cropped up there and come across your transom that
Not
get you interested?
Not really, honestly. Some folks made some great sumo pumpkins. That part I saw.
I bet.
Yeah. But yeah, we I'm not seeing anything. Well, they had a really good sort of thread on Kanishiki and like how good was he really, and sort of the premise being, this might be a downturn in comparatively speaking to the sumo of the past, like that we might be in a bit of a space of uncertainty.
Yeah, well, sumo went from one great era pretty quickly into another great era that lasted a very long time.
Yeah.
So I think we've just come out of the year and a half, 2 years of kind of wobbly sumo. I think we can say now that gear shift era is, yeah, if not, in our rear view mirror, we're no longer going over that road.
Yeah.
We've got a bunch of people who are doing pretty good. We have one guy who seems to be poised to be a major star. We have a couple of people who could shape themselves up and live up to their potential. We don't have usually what defines a big era like that are great um, uh, rivalries, right? The two or three or four rikishi who are leading the pack and fighting each other, and every tournament it's like, who's going to come out on top? What's going to happen this time? And we haven't really established that yet. But I think we've got most of the major pieces on the board for that to happen. We'll just see. Sumo, of course, being sumo, injuries and other problems can derail that pretty quickly, as we saw with Kirishima this year. Right, Kirishima started the year with the question of, is he going to be Yokozuna this tournament or next tournament? And he's now settled in at Sekiwake, trying to get back to being in Ozeki. But if his injury is as healed up as it seemed to be last tournament, he could get right back into it and then be back in the mix of that kind of conversation by March of next year.
Yeah, I'm looking at all of the discussions right now, and there is everyone's asking kind of the same question. What's going to happen? Who's going to be who are the contenders? Who are the big people to sort of step in and fill a vacuum? And that's, there's not a lot of clear answers. There are a lot of great opinions.
But I think we have a variety of people who could.
Yeah.
Right. So the question, and it's an exciting time when the question is who will, rather than where are they going to come from, which is what the question was a year or two ago.
Yeah. A lot of talk about Ono Santo, and is it too soon, or is it
right? Yeah. I think that it. I'm sorry, I interrupted. You were going to say
no, you go for it. Yeah.
I was going to say he. I'm not sure that it's the best thing for him to come up with no one to
test his mettle.
To challenge, right? I mean, if Teruno Fuji was healthy, that would be different, but we know he's not, and we know that he's I thought that he was going to probably end up retiring this year. The fact that he hasn't is a testament to his will. But I don't see there's any way we get through the end of 2025 with him still active.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe though. But we've seen before that like a samurai sword, like a katana being forged, it must be tempered to
That's
become
right.
as strong as it can be. And right now, there's not a lot of people pushing back to temper Onosato. So what that means for him long term is an open-ended question.
Very interesting, and one that we'll be able to watch. Yeah, kind of
Yeah,
see it unfold before our very
we sure
eyes.
should. Yeah, so the banzuke got announced on Monday of this past week, and we've got a whole new slew of rikishi. Not only that, for the first time in quite a while, we've got two people ranked at Maegashira 17.
Mm-hmm.
We keep winding up with just one there because of the unevenness at the top. Well,
Yeah.
they smoothed it all out, and we've got two people at Maegashira 17 this time. Which I just find funny. I'm looking. We've got the new chart from Fred Pinkerton. I wanted to stop at pink, and I knew I shouldn't.
Yes.
Fred Pinkerton's new chart, which we'll be looking at later in the show, and it's funny because of the way things shake out. There are some spots on the chart where people are demoted a step, but the arrow is actually slightly up because of the way the numbers had to rearrange themselves.
Oh,
It's still a red
interesting.
dot, but
Yeah.
the angle is a slight upward angle for a demotion.
All right.
I found that very amusing. All right, you want to dive in and look at the banzuke?
I sure do. I do.
Well, let's. All right, here we go. This, of course, is the official Sumo app, which I subscribe to, and you can get the free version, of course. If you subscribe, it just gives you access to more videos, mostly. But this is their version of the banzuke. And we see there at the top on our Yokozuna spot, Terunofuji still there. Terunofuji has not fought any practice bouts since the last tournament.
Uh-oh.
He has not said that he won't be competing in Kyushu, but it's pretty clear that he's not going to be there.
Well, that doesn't mean that he's doing so good that he doesn't need to practice.
No.
Oh, okay. Shoot.
No. That's
Shoot.
not what that means. It means that his feet and his hips and his back are killing him.
Yeah.
He's resting up and getting better. I'm sure hoping to put in a really good performance in the New Year's tournament. New Year's tournament, big tournament. Always that's the start of the new year. It's in Tokyo.
Yeah.
It's auspicious, and everyone wants to have a good tournament in January. The Kyushu tournament here in November every year. It's the last one at the end of the year. Everyone's kind of feeling the year wearing on them.
Yeah.
It's a long way from Tokyo. It's also the one that has a reputation for having the least enthusiastic fans in the stands.
Sure.
There was a time back when I was watching in the 90s when I was in Japan. Sumo was having a moment, and yet they still couldn't fill up the stands in Kyushu.
Really?
This doesn't seem to be as big a problem anymore in modern sumo, but it's still, let's say it's a long way. It's the farthest away from Tokyo they get in the year. I mean, it's nice down there. The weather's nicer than it is in Tokyo. I'm sure it's better to be down there, but they're living in temporary camp, right? They're like to do every time they're out of town, and no one likes not sleeping in their own bed.
Yeah, true.
Anyway, we don't know for sure yet, but it seems highly unlikely that Terunofuji will be competing he is on the list, so you could choose him for your Fantasy Oyakata team,
Yeah.
like Marvelous has done the last few times,
Didn't
inexplicably.
quite pan out for him, but
It hasn't panned out great for him, but when it does, it'll pan out really great.
yeah,
Because it seems
returns
like
are going to be.
when he does fight, he beats everyone.
That's right. Yeah,
Because he's our Yokozuna.
that's right.
We are back to having 3 Ozeki
I
after one
see.
tournament with only 2.
I see.
Onosato, with his win, is taking the Yusho last time and getting another 2 special prizes. Is promoted up to Ozeki, and there he is, hanging out under Kotozakura and Hoshoryu, both of whom had pretty blah tournaments last
La,
time.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I
they
especially I'm thinking of Hoshoryu. I'm just
well
reflecting
they
back on it.
they both they had matching records at the end.
That's funny. Yeah,
They,
Kotozakura I didn't quite follow as much as I always follow Hoshoryu, just because I'm always looking for something that
right,
I haven't quite
right.
found yet. But yeah,
So we're kind of hoping that they will bounce back. I'd say neither one of them has seemed to be injured. Neither one of them is standing out or making waves, uh, saying, I'm going to prove, I apologize to the fans and I will show them in Kyushu," which sometimes they'll do after a bad tournament.
yeah,
So yeah, we'll see. I'd say of these 4, if I got to pick one of them, I'm still picking Onosato.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, but Kotozakura on the verge of busting out too, right? This has been a good year for him up until this last tournament. Right? He got his promotion to Ozeki. He didn't have a dip, which often comes along. And the question will be whether Onosato has that Ozeki promotion dip or not. I'm going to guess probably not, but you never can tell.
That's true.
Kotozakura is the I don't know I'm trying to figure out what it is I want to say or how I want to say this. He took a long time to get that promotion up to Ozeki. People expected him to get it a little sooner, and he just kept slowly advancing rather than making leaps and bounds. And I think he is still slowly advancing, and he has not peaked. I don't think so.
Oh yeah,
He's
yeah. Certainly
certainly
not.
someone, um, as we were just talking about, looking for. It could be that this Onosato Kotozakura is the pairing of the rivalry that we're going to get over the next 5 to 10 years. We'll see. We'll see.
We'll
I
see.
hope so. They're both big guys built for exciting, big controlling sumo, and they're young and relatively healthy. So fingers crossed. Hoshoryu, nah. You
Yeah.
know what? I said it during the last tournament. I kept this to myself for a long time. That he's just. I don't expect him to make Yokozuna. I expect him to be a super good Ozeki for quite a while. He's got a lot, but until he manages to get over whatever it is that makes him lose on day 1 all the time, right? He we talked about it. He's pretty much good for 10 or 11 wins, and that's just not good enough to win a lot of tournaments. You got to win 2 tournaments in a row to get promoted to Yokozuna.
That's right.
Yes. So then we look our Sekiwake, our Kirishima, who we talked about a little before, former Ozeki, who had his neck and shoulder injuries, particularly
Yeah.
neck and spine injury that he was recovering from most of this year. After starting the year on such a high point, had that injury, and it really mucked with his whole year. But he
Yeah.
seems to be doing good. He put in a good showing last tournament, and is solidly in there at Sekiwake. He's in theory at the start of an Ozeki run. You need the 33 wins over 3 tournaments, which is an average of 11 wins a tournament. And he got, I don't remember, it was 11 or 12 wins last time, but he got step 1 of 3. And so the question, all eyes are on him in Kyushu to see if he can do it again, and if maybe in January he can re-earn a promotion back up to Ozeki. And Daisho back up at Sekiwake again. He very quietly had a good tournament last time, and he had some off days, but overall did well enough to get his promotion from Komusubi back up to Sekiwake. So we'll see. With Takakeisho gone, Daisho is now our top level pusher thruster. Right? All he does, and I say it with air quotes around it, all he does is pushing thrusting. It's that big hitting and slapping and driving forward. And when that doesn't work, and the reason there you see very few Ozeki and Yokozuna built that way is when it doesn't work, it really doesn't work. And it's hard to stay up at the very top of the sumo ranks with that being your basically one style of winning sumo.
Yeah. Got to have more tricks in your bag, huh?
Yeah. I mean, if you want to be an Ozeki or higher, yeah, you can't have just that. Also, it's a kind of, as we saw with Takakeisho, right? It's the kind of sumo that really is hard on your body.
Yeah.
You're constantly slamming into a big bam, 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 and that's it.
Yeah, it's
that way
concussive.
lies a lot of injury.
Yeah.
And then down at Komusubi, we got Wakamoto Haru's back up there again after dropping down for a couple of tournaments, and the return of Shodai.
I saw that. Jeez Louise. Jeez Louise.
And when we look at Fred Pinkerton's thing, we'll see again that he's had a couple of very good tournaments in a row, and the fact that other people around him have let him leapfrog his way back up into the Sanyaku ranks. And of course, the question on all of our lips is, which Shodai is this?
Yeah, right. Because it's not particularly new Shodai.
Are we going to see the Shodai from 2019 who earned his Ozeki, by putting in 6 months of really great sumo, or is he's the guy he seemed to be most of the last 5 years?
Yeah.
I don't know. We've always say when we talk about him, his problems are in his head. It's not.
He can do it physically.
Yeah, he just doesn't.
Yeah, he just does not. Very interesting.
So, as I often say, Komusubi, the most difficult rank on the chart to be. He's going to start his tournament off fighting against the 3 Ozeki. I mean, if Yokozuna's around, him too. Right? His first week is going to be filled with that.
How does he usually fare against these 3? I can't immediately kind of recall memory wise.
Not great.
Yeah, that's
the problem is he hasn't fought them a lot in the last 6 months to a year because he's been ranked lower, and before that, not all of them were up there with him, and Onosato hasn't been around at all. So, the weird thing about him always was he would very often get pumped up for important matches, and then and beat some of these, beat Kirishima or
Yeah.
and then lose to three schnooks.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he can be very competitive. He's gonna. Oh, what did I just do there?
Oh, there we are. We're back. Yeah. Oh, is he?
He can be, and maybe he will be. The question is, will he be every day?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And the recent experience says probably not.
Probably not. Yeah.
But
But, he keeps us guessing
he
every
could
time.
I'd say he held on to that Ozeki rank for 3.5, 4 years by
Hmm.
making sure that he got a Kachikoshi. And at this level, that's all you have to do to stay at this level.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to do, but we um, the thing that being an Ozeki helped him with was he could take a tournament off and be really crappy and not get demoted. That won't happen as a Komusubi or Sekiwake. He's going to have to keep having Kachikoshi. He's going to have to keep having winning tournaments in order to stay up here. Maybe he will.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe he will just, find he'll settle into this spot and stay there and perform at this level until he retires.
Yeah.
Or maybe he'll bounce up and down wildly, careening to and fro with no real understanding of why he can't quite get it done.
If I was a betting stan, yeah, like we've always said, like I would love it for him to get his head on straight because he's got the body and the skill to really excel. He just doesn't have the head for it.
Right, right.
All right, so let's go down here. We're going to the Maegashira range. Oho and Hiradomi are two Maegashira ones. Hiradomi continuing to have a good year. He's had a very good year.
Yeah.
And he's beaten a lot of the top guys, and he's another guy. We mostly talk about him with wild flailing, but the fact of the matter is he's also a big pusher thruster. He's just his body isn't big enough for it to seem as booming as Takakeisho's or Daisho's is. But that's what he's doing when he's going all out with those big wheeling smacks and pushing forward. And more power to him. I'd have to say my guess is that he won't do great at Maegashira 1, but I won't be blown away. I won't be gobsmacked if he does. And then Maegashira 2, Wakataka Kage is back up again.
Waka, yeah.
Wakataka Kage, who won a tournament a couple of years ago, had that really bad neck and shoulder injury.
Yeah.
Or was it his knees?
Head, shoulders,
it must have been knee, because he would be a lot more fragile. It would have been his neck.
Yeah.
And he's fought his way back. Oh yeah, he had that knee surgery that knocked him out for almost 6 months, and he dropped way the heck down. And he's earned his way back up and is looking strong. So he, of course, I don't know if you remember, he and Wakamoto Haru are brothers.
That's right. Yeah, I did know that.
We could see the two of them back in Sanyaku together, which would be a lot of fun. Not for everyone else, of course, because you don't have to fight your brother.
Right. Yeah.
They're from the same stable, so they don't have to fight each other.
ACL surgery for Wakataka.
Yeah. And Ura back at Maegashira 2.
There
which
you are, Ura.
Is a shame for him.
Yeah.
God, we love Ura, but he's just not built to be up this high.
It's going to be a tough one for him.
So the problem is that sometimes he comes in, he does really good at Maegashira 2, and then gets bumped up even higher and has a bigger collapse. Abi and Atami Fuji down at Maegashira 3. Oh, man. Both of them need to turn it around. Atami Fuji, come on. Atami Fuji,
he's meant to be much better than
you. He's another one of those guys. Young guy came up and hit that ceiling and got the level where he's got to learn something. He's got to make an adjustment, and he's not making it. He's still good enough to be hanging around up here, but when he first was making it, we were looking at him going, oh boy, this guy's got Ozeki written all over him.
Yeah, that's right.
Until he figures out whatever that lesson or two or gets the secret sauce, he's going to be struggling around here down in, it's not so bad being Maegashira 3.
Right.
But for sure, he would like to do better. So we'll see. I think he certainly is low enough where he won't have to fight the Ozeki, all of them in the opening few days, which could be good for him. He's had that problem of having to start too fast. That it seems to me that's what tripped him up a lot for tournaments there. So fingers crossed, it may be a little bit of a slower start. We'll let him have a better tournament. Churanoumi and Oshoma at Maegashira 4, and Tobizato all the way down at Maegashira 5. He had a very bad tournament last time.
Yeah, that was a rough one.
Kota Shoho also. Takanosho also had a very bad tournament last time down at Maegashira 6.
Mm-hmm.
And Nishikigi, who's bouncing back from just an off period for a few tournaments. He was looking better last tournament. Fingers crossed he looks good this tournament. And then two favorites at Maegashira 7. You got Endo and Mitakeumi. Former Ozeki Mitakeumi and perennial fan favorite Endo. Endo, 2 tournaments ago, looked like his career might be winding down, right? He was down at the bottom of the banzuke and just dragging along. He dropped down into Juryo for a tournament. And I think that must have just like shocked him awake. And he's like, oh, I'd better start fighting. Because he looked pretty good the last 2 tournaments. And Mitakeumi has been suffering from sumoitis. We talked about him a lot from 2017, 2018 to 2022. He was up there at Sekiwake, and you couldn't budge him. And then the wear and tear just got
erosion.
I think that's just where he's at now. He is just worn and torn.
Yeah,
and, you gotta hope that he gets some lucky breaks in a tournament. That seems to be where he's at. He basically does good, but he needs some lucky breaks in order to excel. And the higher he gets up on the banzuke, the more true that is. Let's see. Let's scroll up a bit, and we've got Maegashira 8, Roga, a career high ranking at Maegashira 8. He's finally managed to put 2 winning tournaments together in the top division.
Good for him. Yeah.
Gonoyama, on the other hand, he's run into that problem that we were talking about with other people. He's in the midst of it now, having done so well for a few tournaments and looking like he was going to be one of the new stalwarts in the top of the division. Just something went wrong, and he's been struggling a bit. So we'll hope that he figures that out. Midori Fuji, our favorite tiny little guy, and Takayasu, one of our
the hairiest sumo of the
hairy guys. Takayasu, man, I was just thinking as I was looking at this banzuke, how much I so want Takayasu to get a Yusho before his career ends. But
Yeah.
he's getting further and further away from it. Last tournament he was ranked lower, and it was a good chance for him, and he just didn't have. He had a fine tournament, right? He had Kachikoshi got a nice promotion, but he wasn't. He didn't take advantage of that position where uh, we see the guys who come in and are ranked near the bottom. That means they can
Yeah.
really thrive and get into the Yusho mix, and he did not have one of those tournaments. But back up at Maegashira 9 and looking. Well, he also is just one of those guys that will be doing good and then hurt himself and have 5 days where he's hobbling along, not doing
Yeah.
well, and then he pulls it all together again.
Yeah.
A terrific Rikishi, very exciting to watch. I love him to pieces, but he's not built for 15 days anymore.
Yeah. Yep.
Then we go to Ichi Yamamoto and Takada Fuji. Takada Fuji is another guy who looked like his career was over 6 months ago. He just couldn't do anything. He was plummeting down the ranks, and he just kind of applied the air brakes and is now stabilized again, or so it seems. Back up here, Maegashira 10 is, middle of the pack, but that's all you really need. Hang around at middle of the pack for a while, have a nice career. He's one of the oldest guys in the division now.
Oh, is he really? Okay.
Yeah. And seems to be doing okay. Speaking of oldest guys in the division, the very oldest one is Tamawashi there at Maegashira 11, who's 39 years old.
Oh, ancient.
And still cruising along. He set that record last time for he's the Sumo's Iron Man. He has now set the record for most matches in a row, most tournaments in a row without missing a day for his career. It's something like 1,600 tournament days in a row. Just crazy. But he did it, and he's still going strong. Certainly expect him to extend that. Not necessarily win.
But still, most consecutive bouts,
He's won 2 Yusho in his career, which is, we look at the Fred Pink chart, that's one of those numbers that's buried in there. There are a few people that have these little green numbers by their names, and not a lot of them. And they're the people who have won tournaments, and he's won 2. So, again, that's a career, and he's getting near the end of it. He's almost 40, but coming in and doing the good work. And Meisei, we'll see. Meisei seems like he might be having that I've been around too long problems with his body.
Yeah.
Hokuto Fuji still managing to keep his hair long enough to
just hanging on by a thread. That top knot just looks like it's about ready to just fall right off any moment.
You think afraid that someone's just going to pluck that one hair in the middle and the whole thing's going to fall off. And Sada Naomi, there at Maegashira 12, Ryuden and Shonan Naomi.
Shonan Naomi.
There at Maegashira 13. Chiyoshima is back from Juryo. There at Maegashira 14. Nishiki Fuji managed to escape the pull of Maegashira 17, where he had been for 2 or 3 tournaments in a row.
Good for him.
So he did well enough that he got a little breathing space.
He's at least ascending. Yeah.
Onokatsu, who is the Onokatsu is the guy that we thought he was a big challenger for Onosato. in college, and everyone kind of was
right.
expecting him to do so well, and
We were
he just
excited to
came
see a
last
rivalry.
time, and
Yeah, that's right.
he's gotta figure it out. He's got to figure it out. But I think he will. He's still on that list of people who uh, may be among the movers and shakers over the next few years, but not this year. Toki Hayate, also a guy that a lot of eyes on. He did not do great in his uh, Makiuchi debut. He didn't do terribly, but he was one of those people that one of those Richie that people had their eye on as maybe he. Everyone wants to see people do what Onosato did
Mhm.
and what uh, um, Atami
I was
Fuji
gonna say
did.
Tamafuji. Yeah, yeah,
Atami
yeah.
Fuji did, and Takeru Fuji, who we look down there at Maegashira 16, he's back again.
Yeah.
He after nearly snapping his leg off, he's made it back.
Good,
Uh,
good.
but
Who is
when he
this?
came up last time, just blew everyone away.
That's right. Yeah.
Was so. I mean, we've been blessed by having a bunch of people do that in the last few years.
Yeah,
It's pretty
yeah.
rare to see that happen uh, at
Well,
all,
that's all
let
I've seen,
alone
right? So
we. But we
that's all
keep
I'm used to.
wanting these people to come in and go, yeah,
Blow
do it.
through.
Just
Yeah,
go take the names. But the fact of the matter is, you've got to put your time in.
yeah.
It's a whole different game up here in the top division.
Now, who is this dude? Shishi?
Who? Shishi. Shishi is a Ukrainian guy. We watched a couple of his matches last
Did
time.
we? Okay, I'm not
Yeah.
recalling him directly, but he looks pretty
White?
Caucasian.
Yeah. He is Ukrainian.
Yeah.
First Ukrainian to ever make the top division.
Wow.
This is he's premiering in the top division list this time. Last time he was ranked near the top of Jurio, so we
Mhm.
got to see him bump up to fight a few
Okay.
fights in the
All
top
right.
division. That's why we were looking at him.
Nice. Yeah. For some reason his he escapes my memory, but
Yeah.
okay, that'll be interesting to
Well, I mean,
watch.
with a name like Shishi, it's also kind of
Yeah. I just didn't it just didn't click.
so yeah, Shishi and Takeru Fuji. Who is Takeru Fuji? I think he's won the last two Jurio Yusho.
Mhm.
Know whether I'm correct about that, but I think so. So is he ready to come back and do what he did in January or March of this year?
If he's
And
only gotten
just
stronger and learned a thing or two, then yeah, maybe.
if his leg is really healed enough,
Yeah, yeah.
then who knows? Who knows? We said when he did that, right, that the problem with the challenge was going to be his second and third tournaments because he was just blowing everyone off the line. No
Yeah.
one knew what to make of him. But that's the kind of uh, that is the kind of thing like Takakesho did. Right? It he only had one style. That's what he did, and that tournament that he almost won. Um, we kept expecting near the end, well, someone's going to figure that out. But the fact of the matter is, he's so good that you have to fight him a couple of times. You can't just watch him and figure it out. So the question is, now that he's coming back, and he will have fought people a few times, and there's more chance for different Rikishi with experience against him to talk amongst each other. Whether he can be that dominant again. Um, as we saw with Takakesho, you can be that predictable and that successful. Uh, is Takeru Fuji that kind of guy? Exciting to find out.
Indeed.
And then Asakodyu and Bushozan, they're two people ranked at Maegashira 17, round out our banzuke.
There you go.
So he said, having taken a sip of his soda, we've got our new Fantasy Oyakata game up and
Hey.
for people to
yeah.
participate in.
Nice.
And let me see. I don't know if I do I have it copied.
We should
I think there. So I've just sent it to you.
nice.
That's where people can go, and you have until the 9th of November at noon Pacific time to put in your choices. We, of course, next Friday will talk about our choices and what we're thinking. But I think this conversation gets you off to a start on that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I'll say for sure, I'm picking Onosato for my for my champions level, but Kotozakura might be you know every chance that he will uh, come out on top between those two. But I'm picking Onosato. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
fool
same.
anyone.
No, I'm not
Let's
going to mess
I'm
around with
for sure
anybody
going
else.
with Onosato. So, having said that, if everyone else follows me and Onosato doesn't do well, the one person who picks Kotozakura will really make out like a bandit.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
For our Sanyaku level, which is now down to just 4 people, like it should be. We've had so many people there recently because of the extra Sekiwake and extra Komusubi that were shoved in there. You gonna pick Shodai?
No die.
Shodai? You gonna say? I mean, we gotta. In fact,
I don't know. No, I'm not. This is
no. We got Kirishima, Daisho, Wakamoto Haru. All 3 of them are guys that could go big. And Shodai is such a question mark.
Hey, you did. I was just going to say, now's a good time for us to mention that if you are, as a listener to, or a watcher and a listener of the Sumo Show, you will no doubt want to connect with our friends over at on Facebook. Let's say hey to Jay Gray, who just said hi to us.
Hey.
But yeah, do that. Go over to Facebook. It's The Sumo Show. We're the only The Sumo Show. If you see another, they're imposters and must be destroyed. But yeah, head on over and you get sort of a weekly updates from Stan. You get all kinds of good sumo discussion, and yes, it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, that's the home of our Fantasy Oyakata game.
That's right.
And during the tournament, I make daily updates and links to a video where you can watch all of the matches, usually in half an hour or less.
Last I checked, we had when we talked about this on the show. I think we had 111. Was that where we were at?
Something like that. Where are we at now?
124.
All right.
Yeah, we're growing, friends. We're growing. So grow with us.
Slowly but surely.
That's right. That's right. But if anything ever happens or there's some news and, you want to dive into you can bet there's going to be some convo happening there. Something pops up in the world of sumo and you're
If you have any questions that you want our takes on, that's a great place to do it.
That's right. We love giving the hot takes.
I like hot takes.
They're good. They're better when they're hot.
All right. So let's see. What should we look? Let's look at the Fred Pink.
Sure. Yeah. Fred Pink is he's fredpink.com. You can head over and you will be able to download this for yourself.
Yes, every tournament. How are we doing there? Did it show up?
I don't see it yet. There it is.
Okay. Yes. So every tournament, Fred does this chart. He's a friend of the show. We had him on once. We hopefully get him on sometime in the future.
Yeah.
He does this great little chart that shows how the people have done, how the top division has gone for the last 3 tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
And you can follow. I love at the end of the year putting them all together and creating a year-long spread.
It's really fascinating just to kind of see how it all looks, and you can really get a sense of. It's almost like each one of the Basho have a kind of frenetic like a measure, and you look at the steepness of the the lines and get a real sense of what's going on. And this seems like a pretty standard one, honestly.
Yeah. Well, one of the other things, and I just was looking at it this morning as I was looking at the
Yeah,
chart, that we don't talk about a lot is in those previous two. You see people, the people who had winning records are shaded green.
yeah,
The green lines between them show you where they went. But looking at the clumps of green in the July, we've got a clump of green and then a whole bunch of white, and then a little clump of green and a bunch of white. And
uh-huh.
you look at the September one, and it's not
Quite as
every
clump.
other one, but it's much more evenly spread out.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why we didn't have a lot of huge shakeups in what's going on.
Yeah,
Because
it is always fascinating. You just can kind of get a sense of almost the temperament of the Basho,
yeah,
like the
and if you look at that July tournament, see that from Maegashira 1 to Maegashira 6, only
yeah.
one guy had a winning record, and that's why we had that big shakeup at the top. And
Yeah, yeah. And you can see that shake up.
yeah,
I mean, like, what is that? That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8
yeah,
people who pretty much made lateral moves.
yeah,
And only, what is that, 5
uh,
for the November?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, something like that. So yeah, looking good. We still didn't have the Maegashira 1 and Maegashira 2 did not do great, but not so bad. We don't see any real big dives until Mitakeumi there at Maegashira 3 had a terrible tournament. Last time at 4 and 11, see him diving down to Maegashira 7,
Oh,
which
yeah.
is a relative. He could have done worse, right?
Yeah.
That could have been worse for him. Um,
Avi, that's a bad one for Avi.
yeah, Abi. Oh yeah, Abi was just unfortunate last time.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
but who we see Wakamoto Haru getting that big zip up along with Shodai,
Hmm.
zwip,
Yeah.
with their double-digit wins last time, and Wakataka Kage and Churanumi both. Uh, Churanumi did not. I don't know. I don't know why, but they could have bumped him up a. Well, I guess I do know why. It gets to be massaging, particularly at the top. Is you want to keep some stability.
Yeah.
You don't want, because it's so tough up there. You don't every time you get fresh meat, they're a little dazed.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Um, but we see here again up at the top. I think one of the things that hadn't been necessarily true for a while. Look at the top, very top. We got a bunch of people there who have won tournaments.
Yeah.
And, Kotazakura, in fact, is the only one that hasn't. He's hot to trot as
Yeah.
far as that's concerned. Um, he's finished second or been in the hunt a few times this year, and he needs to make that happen. To some extent, uh, he's reminding me of Kota no Sato, uh, who was an Ozeki for a long time and couldn't win a tournament. He was Hakuho's chief rival,
Ah, I see.
and and should have been a Yokozuna, except it was just that era where it didn't happen. He finished
Yeah.
second all the time. He finished second more often than the other Yokozuna, but he was an Ozeki. Uh, and
That's kind of a heartbreaker that he used up, he in his career, he was meant to be number 2 because that was
yeah,
who he was fighting against at the time. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. But I mean, there were other guys who managed to get the promotion because they slipped in a couple of wins where they could, and
Hmm.
he just performed amazingly well for years on end,
Yeah.
and because of the era sumo was in and how tight they were about handing out Yokozuna promotions,
Yeah.
he couldn't get it until very well, what turned out to be very near the end of his career, because he got it and immediately injured himself terribly.
Oh
And wound up,
no!
having to retire uh, uh,
What
about
year?
a year later.
What year did he retire?
Just a couple of years ago.
Okay.
Um, anyway, yeah. So we're looking up there. Oh, so much going on here. It's back and
Yeah,
forth.
Busho's on. That was a drag.
Yeah. But he managed to stay in. He
Yeah,
managed to stay
yeah,
in, hold down by the skin of his teeth.
yeah,
But there we see, is it Midori Fuji right there in the middle, the
yeah.
Maegashira 8. He's going from Maegashira 8 to Maegashira 9, but that line is actually a little up.
On purpose. I mean,
Well,
you know,
no,
is
again, it's because we had that shift. We looked before, there were 4 Sekiwaki last time,
yeah,
and
yeah,
now there's only 2. And so every time that kind of thing happens, the like I say, we've only had one Maegashira 17
yeah.
the last few tournaments. So it's the same number of people. It just the numbers come out different. Counting in Japanese is weird. Um, so yeah, I just found it very funny when I was looking at this chart to notice that Midori Fuji's red line goes up as he drops from 8 west to 9 east. See who dropped down. Oh, Kagayaki's down into Juryo after going 3-12 last time. It was terrible. And Bushozan manages to hold on, but Kinbozan did terribly there, and the guy from Kazakhstan. Uh, so I guess we lose one European and we replace him with Shishi.
That's right. I am very curious to see how Shishi will do. That's an interesting one to watch for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see who else. Who else dropped down? Shirokuma, the white bear. He came up for the first time last time. He was his premiere in the top division, and he went 4-9. So he's out of the top division.
Yeah.
Kita Nawaka did not have a good tournament either. And who's up this time? Chiyoshoma's back. Toki Hayate, Shishi, Takeru Fuji, and Asakoryu are guys who've been promoted up from Juryo this time. I think Shishi and Takeru Fuji are the two to keep our eyes on, particularly.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't know. I guess maybe now that Toki Hayate is back again and and won't have the pressure of this being his first time, maybe he'll do better this time.
Yeah, they've definitely been talking about this guy for some time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, how long has he been wrestling?
A while. I mean,
Over 3 years, you think? 4 years?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm seeing.
Yeah, I think he's been around.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So go get yourselves a copy of the Fred Pink chart yourself and pour over it, because I just want to sit here and look at it and go, "Oh, look at that and look at that."
I know, it tells you a lot. And I really encourage folks to grab a few of them and do that comparison side by side. Just kind of look at the way you can really start to get a sense of the eras and sort of what was bouncing around. And there are a few when we're looking at them that just look like absolute volatile, like just absolutely volatile, just
pew, pew,
unstable
pew,
molecules.
It's like the Star Wars scene.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. Something else, but yeah, a lot of fun to look at those. Thank you, Fred.
Yeah. When the January tournament comes around, I'm going to. I did this last year, and take his charts and cut and paste them together to give myself a full year.
Yeah,
because it's just so
cool,
so informative and cool to look at.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's what we got going on there. As I say, we posted the link already, but the Fantasy Oyakata game is open. It's free to play. The
Mm-hmm.
only thing you win is the respect and admiration of your friends, like the guy who won last
I
time.
don't know that guy. I don't know. He's
The guy who won last
pretty
time.
shady. That
I
guy.
respect him. I respect him.
Yeah, that guy was me. And we'll see. We'll see if I'll be able to retain my sash.
He
We wanted entries in by what time? By when?
Uh,
The ninth.
not tomorrow. The following Saturday,
That's the
the
ninth. Yeah.
9th, the 9th of November at noon Pacific time.
All right. I'm
And
posting that to our.
unless, of course, I have to remind Troy, in which case everyone else gets a bonus time until Troy puts his in.
That's right. Don't be like Troy and forget the deadline. I'm putting this on YouTube. Is November 9th.
Yes,
November 9th at noon.
noon Pacific time.
Noon Pacific. See you there.
Woohoo!
Nice.
Woo! All right. Yeah, I'm looking at the Fantasy Oyakata. I mean, it's exactly the thing we just looked at, but I'm trying to figure out who am I going to choose? Who am I going to choose?
Yeah, now my mind is I mean, how do you replicate genius, like
Yeah.
how do you yeah, I don't know.
All right. Well, when you figure it out, Mozart, you tell me.
I will indeed. I will indeed. Looking forward to that for sure. Friends, don't forget to, like we said, go hang out over on Facebook and make sure that you're following us on YouTube
YouTube.
because it's your tube too.
Follow us on YouTube, yo.
Yeah, Sumo Show. It's not the Sumo Show. It's
It's
Sumo
just Sumo
Show.
Show.
For
Yeah.
obvious reasons.
This has been a heck of a year.
I know. On YouTube, and it's pretty easy. We're just do at Sumo Show,
At Sumo Show.
and you will find us.
Indeed.
And also the link in chat. So if you're watching this on demand, give it a click. You're probably watching it over on YouTube anyway. So,
Because you're
make
cool
sure you're
like
following,
that.
make sure you're subscribing, make sure you're liking, and make sure you're sending, leave a comment. Yeah. Feed the algorithm.
All right. So we will be back next Friday, which
Yeah,
will
we're gonna
be
do these,
the Friday before the tournament begins.
and we're doing these on Fridays now. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I guess maybe it's worth saying now. For this tournament, we are only going to have one show a week. We're not going to do Tuesday shows.
No, yeah, just one show a week, and it's going to be a lot of because we don't want to run afoul of any,
Well, I mean, it's worth saying, right? We tried it for 2 tournaments where we did the
watch with us thing.
watch with us. We send you the link. I will still put up the links every day on the Facebook group.
Yeah,
And I may even create a curated list like that. Man, no reason why I shouldn't create that curated list because those will be the matches we're most likely to talk about.
Yeah,
but we're gonna take it down to 3 shows that we're talking about. We're going to talk about days 1 to 6.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about days 7 to 13. And then we'll come up and do a last couple of days and a wrap-up show.
Yeah.
And Troy,
yes,
I'm going to throw Troy under the bus. Troy will watch the matches ahead of time.
Yes, I will.
So we'll be, and you should
every move.
You should too.
Yeah.
Let's say I will post I'll post the daily links, and then I will put together a curated list. So if you want to only watch, if you need a best of version, if you can't afford 15 minutes a day, I understand. Life's kind of crazy out there.
Yeah.
There will be the curated list of matches that we're most likely to be talking about.
That's right. Yeah, and also what an interesting historical reference, I think, too. You know what I mean? If we start sharing that stuff, I think it's sumo it lends itself well to a looking back. You know what I mean? Like I like it.
And you know what? I've kept all of those. I've kept my lists from all the episodes, all the tournaments we've done in the past. The links, the video links, I think are mostly broken.
Yeah.
But what matches on what days are still around.
Nice.
Maybe sometime I should dust those off and clean them up and make a PDF.
I think so. Yeah, a little retrospective.
Yeah,
I like it. I like it a lot. All right, my friend. Well, shall we call it a day?
I think you maybe want to roll those drums out, and we can see you next Friday.
I like it. Here they are.
You have been listening to The Sumo Show, a live podcast about the art and sport of sumo. Your hosts tonight have been Stan Brown and Troy Hewitt. Production by Troy Hewitt. Sumoliering by Stan Brown. And initial charge by Tachi I Troy.
Hi.
So until next week, we say to you, John.